Hi, my name is Jen, and I'm going to give you an overview of WeVideo and some of the basic features and things that you can do with it, because WeVideo is one of my favorite things in the whole world. Today's presentation is along with Patrick, who is then going to pass this on, this WeVideo stuff, to Edpuzzle and show you how you can integrate the two tools together to become even more powerful. When you first go to WeVideo, you'll be taken to a login screen, and I have my students just log in via their Google account. So that's the way we have it set up for our WeVideo for Schools account. Now, once you get into your account, your dashboard will look something like this. And in order to start creating a video, you need to understand kind of how the files are structured. So all videos are under an umbrella called a project, and each project can have several video edits within that project. So if you were to hit create a new video, it would first ask you, where do you want this project to go? So you either have to select an existing project, or you have to go back to your dashboard and you'd have to create a project. So what I usually do is when I go in on my dashboard, I go to projects, and then I'll either create a project or I'll go into an existing project and I will add a video edit there. So remember that project is like the umbrella that holds multiple video edits that you can either combine together, or you can use one video edit as is. That's how I usually do it. So we're going to hit start. I like to use a blank edit, but you see there are different templates you can, mess around with too. I like to just start with a clean slate. So I'm going to hit blank edit, and then you get taken to this. This is your kind of dashboard working area. This is called the timeline view because we see how the video runs in a timeline kind of format. And basically, you would just start dragging and dropping and uploading your content in to make your video. So it's always good if you're working with students to have some kind of like a storyboarding or planning ahead of time, because this can get kind of chaotic if you don't start out with a plan. But to get content, there are lots of different ways to do this. You can have fancy video cameras and film stuff, or you can use things like your phone to film and get stuff off of there. You can use your webcam and just film off of your webcam, which is, how I'm doing it right now. You can also create screencasts with WeVideo, which I'm actually also doing right now. And then lastly, there is the stock media, also known as the Essentials library in WeVideo, which is what we're actually looking at right now here on the screen. Stock media is all of the royalty-free content in WeVideo. So right now you can see they kind of brought up this like generic search here, just called idea, and this is what came up. So you can see that when you search, you will get either video clips, those have little timestamps on them. You can get still images. Oops, that one's not a still image. You know what I can do is I can actually filter it to all my still images. I can find audio that has the word ideas in it. So it's kind of neat. So you can actually filter the results too if you're getting like too much. What's cool about this is you could do an entire project with, say, elementary students without having to actually leave the WeVideo environment and going into like Google searches, where even the most innocent of searches will turn up all sorts of things. So that's what I actually love about the stock media. I also love just the fact that there's all those music tracks that you can use. So I will use those in the background a lot because I don't have to worry about things like copyright and royalties and things. So great use of like digital citizenship and responsibility for your students as well with this. Besides all of this other content, WeVideo for Schools also has my favorite feature of all, which is green screen. So I can actually search green screen in the stock media, and there's all of this like pre-done footage that's on here, which is really neat. And to start off with, let's drag two males wearing formal suits. It's literally two guys standing in front of a green screen. So you can see that happening right now. Not exciting, but I'll show you what you can do with that in just a second. So the other thing that's kind of cool about WeVideo is that you don't just have to use it to make videos. So in WeVideo, you can actually make podcasts and just skip all of this video content anyways. You can go down into your audio section. You can create audio clips by doing voiceovers. You can combine existing kind of music tracks and sound effects tracks to, I don't know, make your own wacky morning show. And then you can actually export as MP3. So WeVideo is a great tool, not just for video in the traditional sense, but it's good for audio as well. And there's lots of features with boosting audio levels and things like that. So keep that in mind. I'm going to talk about video, but you can also just do purely audio exports as well. So I teach WeVideo in middle school. We love this particular view, this timeline view. We love the fact that they have these different tracks that are stackable. You can add in additional video tracks. So if I want to put like titles and then a foreground and then a green screen background, with my audio, maybe I want to have a voiceover, but then a musical backing behind it. So I can layer all these things in this timeline mode. But if you're working with elementary students and you're worried that this looks a little bit too complicated for them, which I do think about sometimes, you can actually click on your little pancake stacks here in the corner and switch to storyboard view. Now, storyboard view, your video will look different. This looks very familiar to, I think, what a lot of people associate with like iMovie, where you take your clips and you drag them in order. It is a lot more simplified, so that's why I think it's great for elementary, because when I'm working with video, I do like to kind of work with the different backing, stacking the tracks and kind of layering things. So I just want you to know that this is a feature here, although I don't use it that much, but it is kind of useful if you're, you know, maybe needing to modify your work to be a little bit simpler from a visual standpoint, perhaps. Another thing I want to show you is the how to zoom in and out of these clips. So down here in the very, very corner, you see we have the minus and the plus. I can slide this over and it drags my timeline out very like fractions of a second. I can even use my arrow keys and like boop, 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 boop to go through that. This is great if you're working with small snippets of video and you need to get in really close, but you can shrink all the way back down and you see right here, this is at about 30 seconds of video. So we got 30 seconds right in here, about a minute in here. So right now we're at about 2.5 minutes. So keep that in mind. If you're looking at your video and you can't get in close enough to get the detail that you want, this little slider is very helpful to kind of zoom in and out. So sometimes people forget about that and it gets a little confusing. The other thing, I don't know if you noticed this, but I actually have to scroll because I have a lot of tracks here. If I don't like that, it's really simple. You'll notice when I hover over it, like, oh, didn't need that. Another thing I can do is I can actually expand my tracks or contract the track and make it even smaller. So that's something that you can kind of mess with too. So that's all the different views in WeVideo. Now let's talk about some basic editing stuff. When you do have content and you drag it into WeVideo, you can click to highlight your section, your snippet, and there are all these little options above it. So of course you can delete it, you can add little effects to it. This fader I use quite a bit. So this is the opacity. So if you want your video clip to kind of fade in and out, that's just a really quick way to do it. Everything else though is in this edit pencil. So when I click the edit pencil, I'm going to get this new window that opens up here. You have different options on each of these little tabs. So here it looks like we can actually add a little caption or a lower third. That's a newer feature I didn't know about. The transform tab here has things like, rotating your clips or flipping your clips. So that's kind of a nice quick feature. If you notice that your aspect of your film is not quite right where it's cropping, you can either tell it fit the screen, so it'll make it, it's not cropping anything off, or you can have it fit the frame, and then sometimes it kind of zooms in and you might get some stuff cropped off. So if you're not sure, you can kind of toggle those two, see what you like better, or you can just use the scale. Bloop, 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 bloop. Oh, the girl underneath, you see her? This is how you would do a picture-in-picture. So if you had two pictures, you would grab one and then you can honestly just move it over to where you need it to. That's how you would do a picture-in-picture if you had things layered. So I'm gonna put that back there. The next section here is your animation. So if you wanna do kind of a Ken Burns kind of a thing, you could start at a half scale to 100% to have it but you can also have it go from one corner to the other. So it's a very basic kind of animating, moving from one point to another. I'll use this for words a lot or little like overlay pictures, but otherwise I don't mess with this too much. Some very basic color adjustments if you need to, which I don't mess with that much. Also, here's your speed. If you need to, say you're filming something and you want to kind of like time lapse it and speed it up. My students use it a lot when they're doing like demonstration videos, how-to videos. You'll film something that takes a long time and then you'll like speed it up. So that's something that they like to do quite a bit. And then lastly, this last little tab here, my favorite tab, this is the green screen tab. And I always tell my students, it looks like a little person standing in front of a green screen. So when you click on this, it's actually called color keying because green screen is just the casual term that we use. The correct term is color keying because we are keying out a specific color. Green just happens to be the most commonly used one, so it got called green screening. Basically, click the eyedropper because now you're going to select the color you want to key out. And we are only dealing with this top layer of video. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm thinking it might not be that apparent right away. Yeah, because it removed it, but the girl underneath had a green screen. So that didn't really like work so well, except that you can now see the girl there. So the film of the clip of these two men, it's transparent, and we're seeing what's underneath it. I can hit save changes, and then that'll be saved. Now, this will show up a little bit better. If I do this, you can see where the green has been removed, and it's just black behind the two men that are standing there and talking now. Makes a little more sense. Even better, I can go in and I can type forest. These men are going to be talking in the hazy forest. We'll stretch out this. Oops. Oh, that's a video clip. Not so smart. Let's go to images. Because that forest was a video clip, I cannot stretch it to be longer than it is. So what I'm going to do instead is we'll grab the forest swamp, which is a still image. That I can make as long as I want because it's just a still picture. It's not moving. And they're, I don't know, standing on the water and talking. Weird, but we'll take it. Now, if I wanted to use this video clip, I could. What's going to happen is the background you can see is moving as well as the foreground. What I would probably need to do, though, is I would need to duplicate this. So really quick keyboard shortcut, I hold down the Shift key and then I drag this out. It will duplicate it for me. I could just stack those together and then trim that down. We'll see how the continuity works. I don't know, might work, might not. At the clip, does it look weird? Oh yeah, there's a little jump where the clouds move again, but you know, not bad. You got to decide what you're going for here. So that is how you would go in and kind of mess with green screen. You need to think about how your clips are layered. So your very most back piece has to be at the bottom. Then this is our middle section. If I wanted to put a title on top of that, I'm going to go from stock media, which is where we were searching for everything, over to text, because text will now give me all of these options for videos. And there's motion titles. There are static or non-moving titles. There are actually these like in-season kind of festive, what would you call these? Title sequences that are animated. Callouts are really great for kind of like annotating if you're doing a screen grab and you want to place emphasis on things. So I'm going to throw like a title on top of this. And that you can stretch out as long as you want. I'm going to have it match that. Again, I'm going to hit the pencil to edit, but this time in a title, you'll see I have a little bit different options. So I have this like kind of transform and like moving stuff around. And I have the ability to change what it says. So right now it says customize your message. I'm going to put businessmen in the woods. And then it looks like that. So Jen, I don't want it right in the middle. I want it at the bottom. Just drag it down, drag it up, move it over to the side, do what you want to do. Grab the corner, make it smaller, make it larger. So it's kind of neat. You can mess around with this and layer multiple titles if you want to, but then you click Save Changes. You back your little playhead marker thing here, and then you hit play. We will get Businessmen in the Woods. It's an exciting film. It's kind of cool. There really isn't a limit to the number of video tracks you can have on here. I've tried messing around with it a bunch of times, and I've been able to do some pretty fun things with green screen, so I want to show you some of those now. So I like to think about interesting ways to use green screen. So instead of using a traditional background and changing your location, what if you stood in front of a computer screen and you could give a little tour? I used a picture-in-picture effect, but made my smaller picture a green screen, so I was able to shrink myself down super tiny. In this video, I played around with green screen where I layered myself so I could make it look like I was talking to myself. This one looks super impressive, but it's ridiculously simple. I'm holding a sheet of green construction paper. I keyed it out, and underneath it is a picture of a skeleton that I lined up as best as I could. Looks good, super simple. In this particular video, I'm standing in front of a green wall, and I have a green piece of fabric. So it's very Harry Potter invisible cloak situation going on there. And then lastly, I was trying to figure out how many layers I could have before WeVideo freaked out, and I think I got to like 7 or 8. Still didn't freak out, I just gave up. So these are PNG files, and I used that simple animation feature to have them swipe from one side to the other while I fought them. So in conclusion, I'd like to leave you with some ideas for using video in your own classroom. There are definite teacher uses and things that you can use video for, like demonstrating a lesson in class, filming a simple tour of your classroom. I also use video a lot for creating subplans, because then when I'm gone, it's like I can still be there, and I'll post that video in Google Classroom for my students to watch. Of course, making video is great for PD and demonstrating your techniques to other teachers, or watching videos by other teachers. And then lastly, knowing how to make a great video is awesome just to show off student work and kind of showcase all of the awesome things that you're seeing going on. Now, here's just a very small list of how you could use video with your students. Number 1, have students use videos as an alternative to presenting in front of the class. This is great for students who, can get kind of stage fright or nervous in front of their classmates. You can also use video to have students act out skits or reenact historical events using the green screen for that little bit of extra pizzazz. You can have students create how-to videos, which are really helpful for teaching classmates or even underclass students how to perform tasks. You can have students create videos or commercials to help promote school spirit or advertise the school to incoming students. And you can also use video to create a little video yearbook that students can look back on and remember all of the memories from their previous school year.
Hey everybody, awesome to be here with you and joining Jen to present not only WeVideo and the awesomeness that is WeVideo and all the things you can do with it, but kicking it up a notch and joining it with Edpuzzle to add some awesome formative assessment components in to really gauge whether or not your students understood what was in that video and maybe even give them some enrichment bonuses to really take it up a level. I'm Patrick Houseman. You can find me at PHUSEDU.com. You can also find me at UnisonEDU.org, the nonprofit I started to help schools with professional learning, because I firmly believe in all schools moving forward together. You can also find me at PHUSEDU on Twitter and PHUSEDU@gmail.com. You can see the range of different badges and certifications I've earned, conferences that I've presented at, and I do not put these up there in any way to brag or boast. I put these up there for a twofold reason. Number 1, so you know I'm knowledgeable when I share different things with you, but also so that you can see the different things that are out there and collaborate with me on getting you to the level you want to be at and gaining certifications, badges, and different things to recognize your expertise. If you want to get into Google Innovator, Trainer, different things with Flipgrid, Common Sense, WeVideo, Nearpod, all the different things you see. Send me a line anytime. I'm more than happy to help you out and get you to those goals you set for yourself. For now, let's jump into Edpuzzle and see how it combined with WeVideo can really equal some awesome stuff. To get to Edpuzzle, you're going to come straight to edpuzzle.com. You'll see that up here in the address bar in the top left. From there, you have two different avenues to get logged in. Number one, you can click Get Started, or you can come up here towards the top right and click Login. Either one's going to take you to the same screen. You're then going to choose whether or not you're a teacher, or if you were doing this with students, you could walk them through joining as a student by clicking I am a student. For us right now, we're going to go ahead and click I'm a teacher. If you want to use a email and password versus logging in with Google, you can do that here and set that up. My recommendation would be, if you can, use the sign in with Google so that you don't have another username and password to remember. Once you click on that, it's going to ask you to choose your Google account. Go ahead and choose the one you want to use. And you should be taken to your My Content page. If you're just starting, you really shouldn't see anything on this page. Since I've dabbled in it a little bit, you're going to see I have a few different videos here that all have some content added to them. And you can notice anywhere in Edpuzzle that content has been added by seeing a little number and then this little header mark that lets you know there's 4 questions within this one. If I come down here, there's 9 questions in this one about plate tectonics, 7 in this one about solving elapsed time. So you can add multiple different questions and multiple different types of questions. As you get more content, you can search your My Content page. You can also add folders into your My Content page, and that is through this Add Content button. Right here, you'll see New Folder at the very bottom. Other things you'll see on this page, if I come up to the content towards the top left, I could click on Home. That's going to show me the different things that are trending within Edpuzzle. So you can see, like, for instance, we have trending in computers, and then since I'm in Virginia and I've registered that way, it shows me trending in Virginia as well. Again, you can see how many questions are in each one of these, and if I scroll down, it'll go ahead and give me different topics that are trending. As I come down from there on that left-hand side, you can see there's a curriculum tab, and there's also a Clarke County Schools office. I am in Clarke County Public Schools, so it's showing me that. This is where, as we would add more teachers to our district account, we could have teachers sharing things here and denote that via school and different things as well. The curriculum as well is another part that is on the premium side of Edpuzzle, so you would not get this in just a free account. But right now, as of April 2020, you can get all the premium features via filling out a form connected to the COVID-19 school closures. So do know you can get premium now, but in the future, some of these things, at least these two, curriculum and the district side, would be paid features. As you come down, you're going to see My Content where we started. And then down from there, you're going to see popular channels. You're going to see the things that are popular on Edpuzzle, for instance. And all of these are searchable. You're going to have a tab for YouTube, Khan Academy, National Geographic, TED Talks, everything all the way down to and including Crash Course, which we know is on YouTube, but has some really good educational content. So it has its own tab here within Edpuzzle. So there's a couple different ways that you can kind of get started. Number one, if we click on Home at the very top and we look at things already in Edpuzzle, we can use the things that are trending if they fit. We could also search for something like the Civil War. And you're going to see that's going to return things Civil War related that have some questions already and some that don't. So you can see up here at the top, we have Edpuzzle. I can click See More, and that's going to show me a ton of different videos. Again, some with content, some without. If we see the little marker that has the number, that means it has some questions in it already. So, for instance, if I wanted to use this one that says the American Civil War, it has 7 questions. I think that I might want to use that. I can just click it, and it's going to show me the video, allow me to play it here. But I can also see on this right-hand side all of the different questions that are embedded. And through clicking on them down here at the bottom, I can jump to that point in the video and see what that question is. If I want to use this one, I would then go ahead and just go back, find that same video here, check the box underneath, and I could do edit or copy. Either one of those is going to give me my own copy of that content into the My Content section. So I'm going to go ahead and just hit copy. And you'll notice now if I come over to my content, I have that video with the 7 questions here. And I would then be able to move forward by checking the box. I could assign it out from there, or I could come in and edit and add some of my own questions, my own content. But maybe I want to go ahead and go to YouTube and find some Civil War content. I'm going to go ahead and search Civil War, and maybe this time I want to try this Battles of the Civil War movie. That's the one that I want to edit. You'll notice because I clicked on YouTube, none of these different things have content. There's no little marker that tells me I have questions. I'm going to add all of my own from scratch. Once I click that check mark, you'll notice I have edit, copy, and unselect. I'm going to go ahead and click on edit. That is again going to make me my own copy and my content. So once we get back there, we'll see that. But it's going to jump me straight into the editing screen. And this screen is the exact same one you would see if you would have come to this via a video that already had content, hit edit. You'll see the questions I already have, but you should also see the voiceover and question options and things that you see up here at the top. So it's important to note that whether I'm starting from scratch or editing content that's already out there, within Edpuzzle, it's the same editing screen, it's the same steps. You'll also notice you have a pencil icon up here at the top, which would allow me to change the title of this Edpuzzle artifact or this Edpuzzle creation if I wanted to. One of the first options you get to edit is this cut, which is going to allow you to drag in from the end on either end to shorten that video clip. And then it will let you play it so you can double check it, and then you would just go ahead and move forward from there. Your next option is going to be voiceover. What that is going to allow you to do is come in and find the exact spot in the video you want, and then you can actually record over the audio that is normally in that video itself. So maybe they say something incorrectly, or your opinions, your facts just fit better for this video, or maybe you just want the students to hear your voice instead of the video at that point. You can replace that audio here if you wish. You'll want to test this out beforehand though, because in the past you needed to replace all of the audio. So keep that in mind, that that may be something you need to do, but there may well have been an update since that point that'll allow you to just record a segment, but test it out beforehand. Your last option at the top is questions. And this is the part for me that really comes in and is powerful. The other ones are really nice, and I will never discount hearing the voice or making it a little shorter for students to get on the cut side, but the questions really allow you to know whether or not the students are grasping the content in that video or if they're just passively watching it. So you want to think about your questions fairly deeply and make sure they go to the point of really telling what the students have gotten out of that video. Are they really getting those main, really important points? You have 3 different question types that you can add. And you'll notice as I hover over them, it's going to let you see a little bit more information about them and what they do. But if I go ahead and click one, and again, you want to make sure this little dot, your video kind of scrubbing mark or your playhead, is in the exact spot you want the question to appear. Then, for instance, I clicked on multiple choice. I would type my question in here at the top, and then I go ahead and type in my answer choices down below. I'm just going to keep it at 2 options, but you'll notice that I do indeed have the option to add more down here. And then by clicking the green check or the red X, it's going to let me denote those whether they're right or they're wrong. You also notice in the bottom right of the answer options, I have the place to click and add feedback. So maybe if I know it's the right answer, I could give them some positive feedback. Hey, you got the right answer. That's awesome. But notice at the top, I have bold, italic, underline, different things I can do there. But I also have a link option as well as image and an equation editor. So I could link them out to further content to build on that, maybe an enrichment activity. I could also come down to the incorrect options and give them some feedback, maybe something to reinforce what they should have learned or maybe caught in that video, maybe another resource to direct them back to the right answer so they get that in the future. But that feedback option can be really powerful as you build in different question types. I'll go ahead and save this. So you can see I'm going to get that small dot right underneath, and I'll also see that question appear underneath to let me know it's been successfully added. Then I can go ahead and get to my next important point in the video, but notice before I do that, I can move that question. If by some chance I put it in the wrong place, I can slide that around to make sure it's in the exact right place. Then I can go ahead and play my video, and I can snag that playhead, and I can get ready for my next question by pausing that video in the exact spot I want to add it. My other two options for questions are we did multiple choice. My other two are open-ended, which again, I'm not going to put in right or wrong answers here. I'm just going to give them something thought-provoking to think about and kind of reply back to me on. But notice I do have that feedback option down at the bottom. So I can still give them feedback. I can add links, images, also can get into equations if need be. But no, you do have open-ended questions. So I could type my question in, click save. That's going to finalize it down at the bottom. I'm going to then let my video play a little bit. And the big reason I let it play from there is just to make it a little easier to grab that playhead and get it to where I want it to be. I'm going to pause, and then my last option is going to be to add a note. So we've looked at multiple choice, and note too, you do have a drop down if you happen to choose the wrong one, but we've looked at multiple choice, we've looked at open-ended, and now we're in the note side. And what the note allows you to do is literally just highlight a really important point and point out, hey, did you happen to notice this? Here's a link to something else awesome, because again, I do have that link option or that photo option there. But something powerful that is a little hard to spot the first time you come through is you do have this small little microphone icon that hides right here. And what that does right underneath the bottom left of that box is allow you to record a voice note. So maybe you don't want to necessarily type it out, or maybe you want to do both. Maybe you want to type it out and record your voice so your students can hear you expanding on that really important point, or asking them something really thought-provoking at that point where the video were paused. Think about what you want to do and how you might want to add it, but know you do have that audio note option as well. So I could type something in, click on save. You're going to see I now then have my 3 different things that I've added to this video clip. And I think at this point I'm done. So I'm going to pause there. But notice too, I do have a second option here as far as adding more questions. It really is personal preference whether you want to scrub the video and click here, or at the end of adding a question, you want to go ahead and click that and then use the click and drag method to adjust where that question is. But for right now, I think I'm done. I've added the components I really wanted to highlight different important points in the video. So I'm going to go ahead and click finish at the top. That's going to show me my final preview screen, allow me to watch it through. I can double check where my questions and things are. And then down here at the bottom right, I'm going to get my options to assign it, edit it again, maybe duplicate it if I want, or maybe delete it. But I want to make sure I point out the other place that you get these options as well, just in case you aren't ready to move forward with assigning it yet. If I come back to the content side and I just clicked on home, I'm going to then go to my content, and you're going to see that video sits there as well as the first one I played with. And if I check the box underneath the video on the My Content page, you'll notice I get that assign, edit, unselect, delete, duplicate. I get those same options I just saw when I finished making the questions in the video. I'm going to go ahead and click on assign because that's a really important step in getting it to the kids. We're not going to cover it in this video, but you can create classes. You can even pull rosters in from Google Classroom, which is a really handy time-saving feature that you might want to employ if you're using Google Classroom. If I had my classes in, and again, we'll share resources so that you can do that later if you want, and you can always contact me and I can walk you through that step. But you would just check the box in front of the class and then go ahead and hit assign. If you needed to create a new class, you could even do that on this page. You want to make sure you set some options before you either assign it, or the option I'm going to show you is the public links. But before we get there, you want to make sure you choose the time you want it to be available. And that's more powerful on the assigning side than the public link side. But the things underneath are important. First and foremost, one of the biggest things that I always make sure it's checked is the prevent skipping. This makes it so students can't just pull that playhead all the way through the video, get to the end, click submit, and say, yep, did it all done. If you check that box, that's going to make sure that they don't even have a playhead to scrub. They can hit play, and the video is going to play the entire way through without being able to skip. You can also turn on closed captioning. The students will have the option to turn that back off if need be, but you could enable that so that accessibility feature is there right away. Once you select all your options on this page, you want to go ahead and click on public links. And particularly during a school closure event like we find ourselves in right now in April 2020, this public links makes it really easy for your students to just click a link and get that experience of the content and follow through the questions and get the materials without having to log into a different account if by chance you haven't used Edpuzzle before schools closed. This allows those students to not really have to learn in depth a new login, how to use a new tool. They can just click a link, get that content, and have that rich experience. So you can grab that link, you could text it out via something like Remind, you could put it into your school messaging service, you could email it, you could post it in Google Classroom. Any way you'd want to get that link out, you could do so. If you happen to have your own website that you're pushing content through, you could also use the embed code, embed that on your website, and they would have access that way, again, without having to sign in. If you have the option to and you know your students are comfortable enough, creating the class side and assigning it that way is a great way to go and gives you a lot of tracking data and features on the other side as well. And again, contact me if you'd like help on that if you're not looking to use the public links. We'll also put links to that in the resource wakelet that'll be linked in underneath this video. So as we continue down through, we're going to assume that we have that assigned, and we're going to go ahead and jump into looking at some of the resources that Edpuzzle provides to kind of help you out and other things they have on their website. So as we come down through, when we get to edpuzzle.com, it'll have a button that says kind of getting started or a resource tab. And if you look at the top, we are at go.edpuzzle.com/resources. That gives me this page for getting started. So if I'm just getting started and I want a little more than this video provided to get started, it's an awesome link there for you. You also get information on how to share Edpuzzle and maybe help your colleagues get started in it as well. Information on the Edpuzzles for schools or districts, which again is able to be free right now during the school closure, but is normally a paid side. And then resources on teacher and student certifications. The teacher and student certifications are really nice in the fact that they cover a wide range of topics, not just how to use Edpuzzle. For instance, on the teacher certification page, you have a couple on Edpuzzle, but then as you come down from there, you have things on gamification, project-based learning, Google tools, diversity and inclusion, all the way down through and including personalized learning. So a ton of different things, not just this tool, but great things to learn about that will tell you spot on how much time it's going to take, but also yield you a badge on the other side. For the students, the same thing is true. These are not just Edpuzzle things. These are things that are really important for them to learn about and will yield them a badge on the flip side. Things like digital citizenship, things like health, and including other items like building character and equal rights. So great learning modules that teachers can work through and students as well. I really love the fact that they provide rich content for both audiences. You'll also be able to find through the resource pages and through clicking on your username a spot for what's new. And that'll give you some of the latest and greatest updates with Edpuzzle, such as greater Google Classroom integration in a live mode that launched corresponding with this post from Edpuzzle. When you get into the Help Center in the Getting Started side, you're going to have a wide range of things to help you out, including how do you get parent consent? If this is a new tool you're using, parent consent is always a great thing to have so that all of your stakeholders, students, parents, and don't forget your admins are included in knowing what you're going to use and how it works, how are they handling student data. All of those things can be found in Getting Started and the Help Center. Like I said before too, Edpuzzle is normally what I call a freemium service. So there's a free side, there's also a paid side. You get a lot of great stuff for the free side, but there's also a lot of powerful things, pardon me, that are in the teacher account or the schools and districts. And as I scroll down, it'll give you some of those things that are part of basic, and so on down the line. But remember, if you come into the Help Center and go into Tips and Tricks, you're going to see a tab that is Help for Schools Affected by COVID-19, and that's how you can sign up as a teacher, get to your school, and verify. That way you'll have all the premium features at least through the end of this school year, and that may help you get a lot of use out of it, build your case, get some colleagues on board, and possibly maybe justify that purchase in next year. The last thing I'm going to share with you guys for today is the fact that very recently, you can see April 24th, Screencastify announced that they're going to be partnering with Edpuzzle to really make a powerful integration to be able to record your own screencast and then jump that straight to Edpuzzle to incorporate some awesome formative assessment pieces. So be on the lookout for that to be announced. And that tells me one more thing I want to make sure I show you before we wrap up, and that is via that Add Content page, or that Add Content button, and I am in the My Content section. You're going to notice I didn't touch on this before, but you can actually create a video right within Edpuzzle. And the one that connects really nicely to that Screencastify piece is the fact that I can upload my own video and then add assessments to it. So if the content you're searching for within the Edpuzzle library or YouTube, Khan Academy, National Geographic, if those things don't fit exactly what you're looking to do, maybe try creating your own video, upload that, and then still utilize the power of Edpuzzle to really kick it up a notch. Thank you so much for joining us for this presentation that showed you the awesome editing side and capabilities of WeVideo, as well as how you can really take that video to the next level by incorporating some Edpuzzle greatness in there as well. Thank you again. Hope to connect with you soon.